this video I am going to explain about viscosity. So viscosity is the characteristic property of liquid state, right? The characteristic property of liquid state. So in liquid state there is three properties. So vapor pressure, surface tension and viscosity, right? So here I am going to explain about viscosity. All these are physical properties of liquid state: vapor pressure, surface tension, viscosity, right? So viscosity means, in my last video I have already explained about vapor pressure and surface tension. You have to check it once. So viscosity is measure of fluids resistance, measure of fluids resistance to flow. It is a measure of fluids resistance to flow. Fluids resistance to flow. That means, in simple manner I am explaining here. So in water and honey, I am taking two liquids here, right? So water and honey, both are in liquid state, right? So viscosity generally observed in liquid state and gaseous state also, but mostly in liquid state we have to observe this viscosity, right? So in water and honey, when we pour the water, there is some water in beaker, right? So when we pour that means if we bend the beaker, then pour the water outside, then water flows very fastly, right? Flows fastly. That means very fast. That means lower viscosity. That means lower viscosity here in water. But whereas coming to honey, I am taking one bottle of honey, but when we bend this honey bottle, then pour some honey outside, then what happened? The honey flows very slowly. Flows very slowly. That means here higher viscosity here in the case of honey. Whereas coming to in water, there is lower viscosity. That means viscosity means it measures the fluid's resistance to flow. That means here water flows very fastly. That means lower viscosity here. Here honey flows very slowly. That means higher viscosity here. Here viscosity of water 1.0 centipoise, right? Here in the case of honey 12,200.0 centipoise, right? So viscosity means the resistance to flow. The liquid resistance to flow. Flows fastly, then low viscosity. Flows slowly, then high viscosity. Quite opposite. Flows slowly, high viscosity, right? So viscosity is generally two types. One is dynamic viscosity, and the second one is kinematic viscosity. There is two type of viscosities: dynamic viscosity and kinematic viscosity. But whereas coming to in solids, in gases, so in solids generally having high viscosity. In the case of solids having high viscosity, high viscosity, whereas coming to the gases have low viscosity. Low viscosity. Think about it. In solids, generally molecules are closely packed, right? Closely placed together. Molecules are together each other in solid state. Whereas coming to the gases, there is molecules are distance between the molecules is very high in gaseous state. Whereas coming to solids, molecules are closely packed, closely placed each other. So they can't flow freely, right? Generally the molecules can't flow freely. That's why can't flow freely or fastly. That's why here in solid state high viscosity. High viscosity. Whereas coming to gases, they flow very freely, right? Here the molecules or particles present in gaseous state flows, moves very freely. So that's why here low viscosity. That means flows very fast, then lower viscosity. Flows slowly, then higher viscosity. You have to remember clearly. Can't flow freely, then high viscosity. Flow easily or freely, then low viscosity, right? So viscosity of liquids generally decreases. Viscosity of liquids decreases when temperature is increases. When temperature is increases, you have to observe, you have to think once. When we apply temperature to this beaker, some liquid is present inside the beaker, right? So when we apply some temperature to this beaker, what happened? When we apply temperature to this beaker, what happened? The molecules present in the liquid, state are moves very fastly, right? Moves very fastly. That means viscosity of liquids is decreases. The molecules flows very fastly. So viscosity is decreases. So viscosity of liquids is decreases when we apply some temperature. That means viscosity is decreases when temperature is increases. Viscosity does not change. Viscosity does not change amount of matter. Generally viscosity does not change amount of matter. So it is intensive property. Right? Intensive property. And the units for viscosity is these are the units for viscosity. So viscosity is nothing but liquid resistance to flow. That means flows very freely. Generally flows very freely, then low viscosity. Flows very, any liquid, you can take any liquid, when we bend that liquid, so it flows very freely, then lower viscosity. It can't flow very freely, then high viscosity. High viscosity, example for high viscosity is honey, because it can't flow freely, right? So example for liquid lower viscosity is water. So water flows very fastly and freely, right? That's why water is example for lower viscosity. Lower viscosity. This is all about viscosity. So viscosity is generally the physical property of liquid. The physical property of liquid. So in my last videos, I have already explained another two properties of liquid. Two properties of liquid, right? So you can check it once. So in this video, the states of matter chapter completely closing. All topics in states of matter I have explained in this video. In this channel, you can check it my channel and watch remaining videos. States of matter, all topics in states of matter I covered. You can check it my channel. Subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching.